I didn't look close.
This is getting lower and lower.
I didn't lower it, Joe.
There you go. You want a cushion?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, you won't have to.
This is good.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
Okay.
Simple mistake.
Only one.
Hey, let me do my sock.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to call this meeting to order. This is the County Council meeting of Monday, December 11th, and this is also our last meeting of this year. Would you all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and then please remain standing as Council Member Alice Howard will do the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to invite my pastor from Carteret Street Methodist to come forward. Pastor Bryson Williams is going to do better than me at the invocation, I'm sure, for tonight.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody.
However you want to do it.
Mr. Chair, thanks for the invitation. Alice, thanks. All the members of council, I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Let us pray. God of all of us, we give you thanks for all the many blessings you pour out upon us each day. Lord, in this season of holidays and celebration, may we feel your presence among us. May we know, God, that we are part of your good creation and that you created all of us in your image. May we know, Lord, that no matter who we are or where we are, that you love us. Yes. Lord, we pray for this council to make wise decisions, to feel your presence as they do this, to have the best intentions for all the citizens of the county in all the decisions they make. God, as we close out this year for council, we look forward to a healthy year next year and a good year in the county. Lord, bless us all to know you and love you. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Okay, public notice of this meeting has been published, posted, and distributed in compliance with the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act. Before we have the approval of the agenda, I would like a member of council to make a motion to modify tonight's agenda. On the consent agenda, you will see item number 5. I would like to have that removed and become item 15A, because we will need to discuss that.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Cunningham makes the motion.
I'll second it.
Ms. Tabernick makes the second. Any discussion? Seeing none, the agenda will be changed to reflect that. Now I would like a motion for the agenda as amended.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Cunningham makes the motion. And Mr. McKellen makes the second, duly motioned and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, the agenda is approved as amended. I would ask a member to approve the minutes of October 9th, 23rd, and November 13th of 2023.
I'll make the motion, Mr.
Ms.
Chairman.
Howard makes the motion.
I'll second that.
Ms. Brown makes the second. Duly motioned and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, the minutes will be approved. We now turn to our administrator's report. Mr. Robinson.
Good evening, Chairman and Council. It has been a busy yet very productive last few weeks for our county administration. Staff began working towards our budget calendar and budget production. Our CIP team has met, going over some existing projects and future CIP projects as beginning of that budget process. Last Friday, we had an incredible tree lighting event hosted by our chairman. He was our MC, so if you missed that, that was a good event. It looked like we had 350 to 400 folks there that attended, and lots of children's groups that came and did presentation and sang some songs. So that was a really good event to attend. It was put on by our Emerging Leaders Group, so we want to thank them for all the work that they did to put that on. That was an exceptional evening. On last Saturday, December 2nd, I issued an emergency procurement in compliance with the Beaufort County Code of Ordinance, Section 2-519. This was to perform maintenance work at the C.C. Haig Jr. Public Boat Ramp. It's at number 2 William Hilton Parkway. The action was predicated by our failure to receive a final construction permit. It was a marine construction permit at the county-owned Helmsman Way Public Boat Ramp. That boat ramp was, still will be, our Defusky Island embarkment point in the future. So the work was necessary at the C.C. Haig Jr. site to ensure safe ferry embarkment point to Defusky Island in order to comply with a court order that requires us to vacate our current embarkation point at Buckingham Landing by the 1st of this year. If you've driven by that area, you've probably seen some work going on there. In the next few days, we'll be planting grass back in the area, and it will be a really beautiful, safe site for us to operate out as on a temporary basis. All right, I have a few introductions to make. Introducing to some of our staff and one new member. The first person I'm going to introduce you to is Dorothy McMahon. Did I say it right, Dorothy? Did I get it close? McMahon. Thank you. All right. So Dorothy works for our probate court. She is the division chief for guardianships and conservatorships. She's been there for 13 years, is that right?
13 and a half.
Right. This is also Dorothy's last week. She is retiring from Beaufort County on Friday. As part of her job as a division chief of guardianships and conservatorships, she works with the public to protect incapacitated individuals as well as assets of minors. This includes conducting hearings, working with attorneys, third-party professionals, processing annual guardian reports, and annual conservatorship accounting. She assists with the day-to-day operations of the probate court, processing receipts, clocking in the mail, helping coworkers in their daily tasks as necessary to help run them more efficiently. So Dorothy relocated to Beaufort. She calls it beautiful Beaufort by the sea to enjoy her passion for the beach and care for her best friend, who is her ex-husband and the father of her children. She's retiring so that she is able to take care of him in his illness. So that's really special for her to do. She's recently became a grandmother and is excited about her new chapter in her life. You would like to say a few words?
Well, I really don't have a speech prepared, but I would like to thank Beaufort County for allowing me to work here all these years. It's been an honor for me. I've been very fortunate to work with some very wonderful people. And my mentor, Judge Galvin, has been with me since day one when she was still the associate judge. So we've gone a long way together, and you're all very fortunate to have such a wonderful Beaufort County Probate Court, and I thank you.
All right, next up is Carmen Griffith from the St. Helena Branch Public Library. Carmen is the library assistant there. Is she here? Oh, maybe she's on the screen. Yep, there she is. All right. So Carmen, something interesting about Carmen is she's worked for our St. Helena Library when it was at the school, so years ago. What's interesting about her is she's been there for so long, she knows almost everyone that comes in by first name. She knows, she remembers them from when they were in school, so when they visit her now, she responds to them by their first name. She's really popular there. So you'll find her a lot of, very often working on nights and weekends, checking in books and regular duties that a librarian would do there. She's committed to her high degree of community service and customer service. She is a pro at registering new library cards, so if anyone doesn't have a library card, you can go see Carmen and she'll help you write out. She likes to call her patrons and make sure that they know when their items have arrived. So a lot of patrons order things and they get kind of an email that their books or videos have arrived, but she likes to call them personally. In the past year, she's been instrumental in reviving the St. Helena Library Teen Advisory Board, where she plans special activities to motivate teams to visit and contribute to the library and give back to the community. Well, although she's not here, let's give a little round of applause to Carmen for her service. All right.
Mr. Chairman, in her absence, I just want to say that everything you said about her is true. She's a pleasant person with a great smile when you go there, and she's ready to help you. So everything you said is true. So I just want to say that on her behalf.
Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate that. I'm sure she does as well. The next person I'm going to talk about cannot be here either. This is Barbara Mathis. Barbara is the operations manager for our alcohol and drug abuse department. There's Barbara. She's been with us since August of 2021. She oversees the operations in our Bluffton office. She oversees the administrative team as the department's finance coordinator. She directs the financial systems for the budget, monthly reports for the South Carolina Department of Alcohol and Drug Abuse. Barbara has a wonderful sense of humor. She likes to sing and can make any phrase into a song. All right, thanks so much, Barbara. And finally, I'm going to introduce the new employee. Some of you may have met already, Vincent Varga. Is Vincent here?
Right here.
There you are. It's up to you. You're hiding right behind me. I didn't even see it.
Yes, sir.
Vincent is our new Director of Broadcast Services. About 2 months?
November 6th, first day.
Okay, awesome. So we're getting right there. Vincent has been able to quickly assimilate to his duties. I'm certain he'll prove to be a great leader for the broadcast team. Vincent started his career in media in 1992. He worked for a city newspaper in Valdosta, Georgia, while a college student at Valdosta State University. He also attended Georgia Southwestern State University in Georgia, where he grew up, and Albany State University in Albany, Georgia. Television and media remain a professional passion with Vincent. His experience has taken him to markets in Albany, Georgia, Tallahassee, St. Simon Island, Savannah, Georgia, Hilton Head, Beaufort, Bluffton, and so on. He has been fortunate to have worked with many national brands such as Fox, the CW. What's the CW network?
The newest one.
The newest, new CW.
Good answer.
I read and play guitar. I don't watch the news that often, or TV, I guess. NBC, ABC, CBS, Sony, MGM, Warner Brothers, Dr. Oz, ESPN, Atlanta Falcons, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Green Bay Packers, Chicago Bears, and many other productions. We got a really experienced broadcast director. During Vincent's previous 4 years living and working in the Low Country from 2009 to 2013, he was crucial in the establishment of the Bluffton Chamber, participating in marketing events, committees, and committees, where he created the Taste of Beaufort event along with others. He worked Taste of Bluffton. Oh, Taste of Beaufort, yeah.
That's been around way before.
Well, I worked a booth there once. Sorry, a taste of Bluffton. He worked directly with many of the staff at the towns and schools and covered dozens of football games and other events for Bluffton High, Beaufort High, Hilton Head High, Hilton Head Preparatory, and many more. Mr. Varga also created and produced the Bluffton News, the Beaufort News, the Hilton Head News, which still air today on WHHI TV. Vincent?
I just wanted to say thank you to Mr. Patrick. I had this whole speech written out, so he told me not to read this. So I'll just read the first couple of lines. Thank you, Patrick. Good evening, Beaufort County council members and good citizens of Beaufort. I'm so grateful to be here with you all and given this opportunity as Director of Broadcast Services to inform, educate, and yes, entertain the citizens of Beaufort County and beyond. So thank you very much, and I will give a quick shout out. Thank you to Ms. Hannah Nichols, Mr. Patrick Hill, Ms. Shakia Polite, Mr. Daniel Morgan, and Ms. Tamika Judge Green. And I will give you just a quick update. I'm going to just hand them over here. What's on Beaufort County Television? There's our program schedule. If you could pass those around. And thank you again for having me. I'm excited to be here and look forward to the opportunity.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to make a comment to Mr. Vincent.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Vincent, I am a lover of PBS.
Sir?
I'm a lover of PBS.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Me too.
Good.
Chairman, that concludes my report.
Excellent.
Thank you.
We have a series of proclamations to do tonight. Our first one will be done by Council Member Alice Howard. It is a proclamation recognizing Oyster Recycling Day.
I think someone here from the Coastal Conservation League is going to accept this grant. And just going to take some pictures, and Grant's actually the one that helped us get this done. So, whereas oysters are keystone species and a crucial part of our coastal and ecosystem, and the population of oysters have decreased to a fraction of their historic levels. And whereas adult oysters release millions of fertilized eggs during the summer months, larvae, young, free-swimming oysters may be carried great distances from where they were released. When development is complete, young oysters must attach to a hard substrate, such as shell, or if no suitable substrate exists, the oyster will die. And whereas overharvesting, pollution, and habitat destruction have contributed to the decline of oysters and oyster reefs, and whereas oysters are more than just a seafood delicacy, oysters build reefs providing essential habitats for fish, shrimp, crabs, and other species, and they can filter up to 2.5 gallons of water every hour. Oyster reefs also act as a natural breakwaters that absorb wave energy and protect our shorelines from erosion. Whereas properly managing the state's oyster beds, replanting oyster shells, and maintaining these important habitats is an important way of ensuring that suitable habitat is available for future generations of oysters. And whereas South Carolina has a critical shortage of oyster shells, South Carolina Department of Natural Resources has organized a statewide oyster shell recycling program. And whereas South Carolina DNR collects oyster shells from oyster roast events, public oyster shell recycling drop-off bins, and restaurants that participate in recycling shells. Beaufort County currently has 7 drop-off recycling locations and 9 restaurants that participate in oyster shell recycling. Whereas by going to the nearest shell recycling station or a supporting restaurant that recycles shells, Beaufort County citizens have an opportunity to help restore, preserve, and enhance South Carolina's oyster habitats by recycling. Now, therefore, it is resolved that Beaufort County Council proclaims Monday, December 11th as Oyster Recycling Day, dated the 11th day of December, 2023, signed Joseph S. Passament, Jr., Chairman, Beaufort County Council. And thank you for your help on that. All right, thank you. All right.
Our
you wanna say
next
who?
proclamation will be done.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to say thank you for passing the ordinance and raising awareness about oyster shell recycling. And I did want to add that as you are perhaps enjoying some oysters over the holidays, try to keep your trash separate and make sure you're dropping them off at an oyster shell recycling facility. And yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Ms. Howard will also do a proclamation recognizing Pat Harvey Palmer.
And I would like Miss Caroline Furman to join us because she's responsible for most of the verbiage in here. Come on up, Pat. This is fun. Whereas Pat Harvey Palmer is a well-known and respected realtor, business owner, and a quiet leader in our community and a Beaufort County treasurer. And whereas during parade season, Pat is dual-hatted, you always see her hat, selling real estate and organizing parades. During the parades, you'll see her hat in Beaufort County. And whereas Pat has been coordinating parades in Beaufort County for 20 years, and for several years, she has spearheaded the Christmas and Water Festival parades. Pat also organized the parade for Beaufort County's local celebrity and American Idol winner, Candace Glover. And whereas in 2015, Pat planned and executed the Paris Islands Centennial Parade, celebrating Paris Island's 100-year presence in Beaufort County. And whereas Pat was recently asked to take the lead for the Veterans Day Parade, which had the largest participation in both units and spectators. And whereas Beaufort County's local Lions Club has always been involved in the planning of parades, and as a member of the club, Pat took the reins, feeling the need for more organized parades. With Pat, the Lions Club, the Beaufort Radio Amateur Group, and the local ham operators over a 40-year period had near-perfect parades have been orchestrated. And whereas hours before a parade starts, you'll find Pat running a tight ship with her clipboard and a whistle, ensuring every unit is lined up in correct position and on time. When asked what happens if it rains, Pat says, "It never rains on my parade." And whereas everyone loves a parade, and we thank Pat Harvey Palmer for delivering Pat's flexibility and insistence on safety to ensure an enjoyable parade. Pat's joyful memories are watching the community come together as one big family and enjoying everything Beaufort has to offer. And whereas Pat Harvey Palmer was the first Beaufort Person of the Year, recognized in 1986 by the Beaufort Regional Chamber of Commerce. This year, she received the Civitas Lifetime Achievement Award for her contributions to the community through various avenues of service, and the Leadership Award from the Zonta Club of Beaufort. Now, therefore, it is resolved, Beaufort County Council would like to recognize Pat Harvey Palmer for her decades of service to the community and her dedication in organizing the best parades for Beaufort County. Dated the 11th day of December, 2023, signed by Joseph S. Passmont, Jr., Chairman, Beaufort County Council. Congratulations.
This is so embarrassing. It's just like one thing after another. And I don't do this for this kind of recognition, so I really appreciate it. I want to thank Caroline Furman for starting all of this. But I really want to thank County Council for coming to my last parade. I don't remember ever seeing you all at one of my parades, and I hope to see you in the future. If all of you come, we'll get a large flatbed. It'll hold you. Don't worry, I'll make it happen. It's been a special honor to be asked to do the Veterans Day Parade. It really has. I'm so happy to be involved in that one, and that is especially here, having a national cemetery and all the veterans that we have in the military bases. I'm happy to be involved in that one. I think for any of you that saw the Christmas parade that we had a week or so ago, a week and a half ago, that is by far the best parade I think we have ever had in Beaufort, in the way of participation and people and everything else. And God was real good to me. He did not let it rain on my parade. And thank you all very much.
Coming with you. Okay, so I can do that. Yes. I know it's very hard to do this.
I'm up all the way.
I get to read our next proclamation. This proclamation is to recognize our boards and commissions liaison, Chris DeJulio Cook.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Whereas Beaufort County currently has 30 boards and commissions in which citizens volunteer to influence positive change in Beaufort County, and whereas each board relies on a county employee to be the liaison between the board and the clerk to council's office, and whereas staff liaisons are required to manage the board they represent and provide support to the board members, and whereas staff liaisons maintain attendance, create schedules, draft agendas and minutes, record continuing education certificates, assist during meetings, and perform other duties as requested by the board chairman. And whereas staff liaisons play a pivotal role in providing the clerk to council's office with updated information in compliance with the Freedom of Information Act for record-keeping purposes. And whereas this year, the clerk to council's office and Beaufort County Council would like to recognize Chris DeJulio Cook for her exceptional service to the Beaufort County boards and commissions. And whereas Chris is a project and development coordinator for the Planning and Zoning Department, while performing her regular duties, Chris also provides liaison support for 2 boards, the Planning Commission and the Northern Regional Implementation Committee. And whereas Chris works hard and goes above and beyond her board duties to ensure the clerk to council's office is kept up to date on the most recent information and changes within the board. Chris does all of this with accuracy, efficiency, enthusiasm, and dedication, and provides excellent service to the board. And whereas Chris is an exemplary and valued member of the staff liaison support team for the Beaufort County boards and commissions, and the clerk to council's office is honored to work with her. Now therefore it's resolved on behalf of the county council, we proclaim Chris DeJulio Cook 2023 Board and Commission Staff Liaison of the Year.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. You make it too easy. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Boards and commissions are an extremely important and valuable part of what we have to do, and people like her make it easy for you to volunteer for them. So keep volunteering.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you again.
I have a proclamation for the emerging leaders. Are there any emerging leaders here tonight? Come on up, okay. I had a feeling it was you.
Yes, it
You
is.
look like emerging leaders.
I am.
Stop. Is that everybody?
No, we still have
A few of us.
So this is a proclamation honoring the emerging leaders that were established in early 2020 as an idea to network amongst colleagues with like-minded goals and talents. Thus far, more than 17 departments are represented among the participants of the emerging leaders. They participated in the City of Beaufort's nonprofit Trick or Treat in 2022. They also hosted a 2-week creek cleanup event on Ladies Island. And in 2023, they established, organized, and hosted the first women's conference for Beaufort County employees. And then the emerging leaders hosted a 2023 Beaufort County tree lighting ceremony. And the emerging leaders participated in trainings on public speaking, leadership styles, stress and time management, effective communication, team building, and conflict resolution. And whereas the emerging leaders held numerous after-hours social events to strengthen professional relationships outside of business hours, therefore be it resolved that Beaufort County recognizes the emerging leaders for their hard work, their dedication, and their relentless efforts. Congratulations to all of
Madam President.
Are you the president?
Madam
Okay.
President, Daphne
I will
Butler.
present this to you, and if we could go over there, we'll have a photograph.
Thank you. And shout outs to Sierra for organizing that tree lighting ceremony last week. It was fabulous. She did a great job.
Everybody stand up tall for smile. 3, 2, 1, thank you.
Madam President, if you'd like to make some comments, feel free.
Yes, you would.
Well, I would like to say thank you to everybody, especially to the emerging leaders. I do look forward to 2024, doing bigger and better things. Look out for us, especially with the tree lighting. Always love to give back to the community, so look out for us.
Thank you.
Our next proclamation is recognizing Tamika Green Judge. A young lady that kept me in tow. Whereas Mrs. Green Judge has been with Beaufort County for 20 years. First in the county zoning department, and then transferring to records management 3 years ago, becoming the records management department director. And whereas Beaufort County Records Management provides storage for all permanent and inactive county records for the duration of their established retention period as approved by County Council and the South Carolina Department of Archives and History. And whereas each year Records Management averages 15,000 boxes of records, over 1 million pages of documents scanned or microfilmed, and 130,000 pounds of records shredded and recycled since 2011. And whereas Records Management is also responsible for delivering mail throughout the county, north and south of the Broad via courier service. And whereas in October 2023, Tamika attended the South Carolina Public Records Association's annual conference and was awarded the prestigious Bob Rogers Leadership Innovation Award for implementing an updated and more effective Freedom of Information Act known as FOIA platform named Xtero that can process thousands of FOIA requests more quickly, more efficiently, and more thoroughly. And now therefore be it resolved that Beaufort County recognizes Tamika Green Judge for receiving the prestigious Bob Rogers Leadership Innovation Award for implementing new Freedom of Information Request program. Dated today, signed by me, County Council Chairman.
Good afternoon. I just want to thank each and every one of you for recognizing the receipt of this award for Bob Rogers. It's greatly appreciated to acknowledge and recognize the work that Records Management actually does. I know that we're out in the cut, is what I call it, the peaceful hill, but we work hard and we just look forward to 2024 for any upcoming changes that we will have for our department. So thank you.
All right, our last proclamation is recognizing the Beaufort County Coroner's Office for receiving their certificate of accreditation.
There are people here from the coroner's office. Come on up.
Oh, wow.
We get to look here.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Whereas the Beaufort County Coroner's Office self-submitted to the accreditation process for the purpose of ensuring that their operating policies, procedures, and practices are within international guidelines. And the coroner applied for and received a federal grant from the U.S. Department of Justice to fund the process. And whereas a part-time accreditation manager was brought on board to develop the policies required to comply with the process, and whereas accreditation requires involvement from all employees in order to meet the guidelines of the 288 standards, The standards are issued by the International Association of Coroners and Medical Examiners. The association reviews these standards, including administrative, forensic, investigative, and an on-site facility review. And whereas having accreditation status indicates the coroner's desire for leading the way in service and compassion for those they serve and their community, whereas the Beaufort County Coroner's Office is one of only 9 in the state that carry the accreditation status. Now therefore be it resolved that Beaufort County Council does hereby recognize Coroner David Ott and the entire Beaufort County Coroner's Office on being one of the 9 counties in the entire state of South Carolina to receive this prestigious accreditation status. Dated 11th day of January 2023, and congratulations to all.
Thank you.
Well done. Here's your, you guys could assemble, oh, let me have one more.
We'll get pictures of it in a minute. Let me,
Let me just do this.
okay, there you go.
This is a surprise, right?
This is it. I'd like the council to introduce Coroner Bobby Joe O'Neill from Charleston County Coroner's Office. She's my right hand, and he's also my right hand. She's president of this, and I asked her to come down and be with us for it. And y'all, this is not an I thing. This is not, my name shouldn't have been on it. It's us. It's the coroner's office. It's Beaufort County. Okay, so I appreciate it. So if y'all want to give me 2 minutes, I got some photographs I'd like for y'all to see approving of the coroner's office. Before I do, I want Dr. Joni Skipper, turn around, who has not met her. She is your forensics pathologist. Her assistant and morgue tech. Maggie, Debbie, my accreditation manager, Jeff Dowling, and Andy. Couldn't have done this without them. So y'all come around and get a couple pictures, and then if I can have just 1 second of your time, get in.
Let me just read this. This is from the International Association of Coroners and Medical Examiners, certifying that Beaufort County, South Carolina Coroner's Office, having been assessed by the International Association, has been found to meet or exceed the requirements of applicable professional standards of this organization. This is a certificate of accreditation signed by the Executive Director and the President of the IACME. Congratulations.
Here, get up here. Come on up, Jeff.
All right, everybody, stand up tall, big smile. 3, 2, 1, thank you. Congratulations.
If, Chairman, members of the council, we're going to show you some pictures. I'm going to show you some updates. Some of y'all have been down to the coroner's office. I want to show you the new and improved coroner's office. If you can bring them up. I'm going to ask Coroner O'Neill speak about these and how we come about them. They came to Beaufort County free, so don't get upset. But you're looking at a lot of money. Coroner?
Well, Mr. Chairman and Council, it's great to be here. It's not often that the Charleston County Coroner goes to another county to speak, although I think I've met a number of you at the South Carolina Association of Counties meetings, so I think some of us have met in the past. First of all, before we talk about this piece of equipment, this international accreditation is a really big deal. When you heard that there was only 9 in the state, there are less than 50 in the country. Beaufort County, under the direction of Coroner Ott and his team, are taking care of those in your community who cannot speak for themselves anymore. And that is a very big job and a big responsibility. We are not just criminal justice, we are also public health. And so for you to have this caliber of an office within your county, he didn't know I was going to do this. So, and he didn't bring me down here to do this. I came willingly. You should be very proud of the services being provided to each and every one of your citizens and your visitors who can't speak for themselves. And that's very important. He is also my right hand, that's right. Coroners are typically the ones you don't want to hear from and you don't want to see pictures from. So I understand that some of the pictures may be a question. But I learned a long time ago, working with David, that we are stronger together, Charleston County and Beaufort County being side by side, should we encounter a mass event where we have to work together. My office got a large grant from the state under healthcare preparedness, because I mentioned that we're not just criminal justice, we're also public health, to provide emergency management equipment that's needed, in particular for coroners' offices, as we, again, speak for those who can't speak for themselves. We were funded for 2 pieces of equipment. One of them you see here, but Charleston County didn't need both of them. And so I reached out to Coroner Ott and said, I think we need to split these 2 pieces of equipment, because if my office gets taken out by a hurricane, I want to come here to Beaufort County and let your folks help me. And if your office gets taken out here in Beaufort County, you're coming to Charleston. This piece of equipment right here is called a Lodox. This is a $500,000 piece of equipment. I'll say it again. It's a $500,000 piece of equipment. Came from federal funds under emergency preparedness. Beaufort County is the only one in the state who has this piece of equipment. You should be pretty proud of this office. If you haven't seen it, you need to go by and see it. This is a full body scanner. This will save time, money, expands forensic services and science. And again, very few offices around the country have this piece of equipment. And if you go to the next photo, I think it's just another one of it. It was just installed this past year. I know Dr. Skipper back there is very excited. This is very high tech. And the next one, and this is called a Randox. And so this is the other piece of equipment that Beaufort County got through some of our federal funding. This is a rapid toxicology analyzer, which does immediate opioid testing. I'm sure Beaufort County is very similar to Charleston County. We have an opioid problem. And the faster that we can get information to families, to law enforcement, to public health, the faster that we can try to take care of the problem. This is about a $70,000 piece of equipment. Again, right now, there's only 2 in the state, one in Charleston, one in Beaufort. So I just want you to know that you have a great partner in Charleston County. He is a great partner. And we agree together to take care of our citizens, whether we cross borders or not. So I just really appreciate that. And I think there may be one more, just if you haven't seen the autopsy facility, most people don't want to see an autopsy facility. It's like a, sorry folks. Yeah, but it's basically an operating room. It's basically an operating room. But what's the importance? And again, that's where we speak for people who can't speak for themselves. We take the time, we care for them, and I can tell you, I've interacted with Coroner Ott's team for quite some time. You have an amazing group of people who are caring for people at their worst moment in their life. And so it's my honor to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you.
And you have a great, we're glad to be neighbors. So thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody, very much.
Okay, we're at our first citizen comments. We do have several people who want to speak, so I'm going to allow us to go possibly beyond the 15 minutes. Our first person, Mr. Hoagland, you wish to talk about ATAX.
Skip Hoagland. If the ATAX committee and town employees and lawyers recommend this council vote to approve ATAX funds issued to chambers and CVBs and nonprofits, and they say it's legal, they've lied and they should all be fired for their ongoing fraud and facilitating millions of illegal tax use. These employees are asking all of you to vote and raise your hand in favor of ongoing tax theft. We are all watching on how and who votes to break the law on this council. If you all vote fully knowing and educated, you are breaking the law. As far as I'm concerned, you should be prosecuted for tax theft. Problem is, we are operating under a failed political system where lawyers and county managers run the show, and all the council members are part-time, including chairman and co-chairman, who are only also part-time, but corrupted by the town employees and lawyers who tell them basically what to do like puppets, in my view. So Joe and Larry, tell us all why you fund all the chambers with millions. That's illegal under the federal IRS nonprofit tax codes, no contracts, no procurement, no bids to local media and ad agencies, and even the newspapers to be the DMO versus the chamber. Also, why do you allow the chamber and the DMO to sell advertising on the DMO websites that were tax funded to profit, which is also illegal? And why does the town and county not own these websites? BeaufortSC.org, HiltonHeadIsland.org, and VisitBluffton.org, versus the chambers who operate illegally and sell advertising to pocket millions of profits. How do you think Bill Miles makes $500,000 a year with the Hilton Head Chamber and Rob Wells at Beaufort CVB? Has anybody in this council seen the millions of ATAX funds and where they were used and how they were laundered by these chambers and CVBs? How about the 1.5 million of South Carolina PRT funds sent directly to the bank account of Bill Miles and Rob Wells with the Beaufort CVB? Has anyone seen the millions of hospitality funds that have disappeared, used for school bonds by Burr Foreman law firm Crooks? Also, same chamber law firm represents the chamber. What had smiling CPA Maria Wall, treasurer, done with hundreds of millions? She just sued the council to stop you from seeing and doing a forensic audit on all her accounting. Have you seen the 400 million school district funds controlled by CPA Tanya Crosby disappeared and unaccounted for? Where's Beaufort County forensic audits promised since the Greenway scandal? Bottom line is this council is allowing us to be robbed blind by all these highly corrupt town employees and lawyers. All we see is in-house fraudulent budgets and audits and that only show the numbers these people want you to see. We have more Eric Greenway in perpetuity if we don't do something. We must start firing and getting rid of these people. Thank you very much.
Next is CSM to discuss the ferry?
No, it's Lynn Greeley is second.
No.
Yeah, she signed up second, but let me tell you what I'm going to do today, Mr. Passman. Wait a minute, I'm not going to make this speech, but you have to agree to something, because I want to respect all these people here today. I don't want to take their time. You don't respect me or anybody, but I want to respect them. So in order for me to stand down today with a POA to make Ms. Lynn Greeley's 3-minute speech, which I'm not going to do, only if you agree to give me a citation, because I need to take this to court. You and I must go to court. So if you don't give me a citation, I'm going to stand up here and make my 3 minutes. No, I want a citation.
Sit
No. You're going to respect the law. You are not the judge and the jury. You're going to respect my POA that's legal. Now, give me a citation and we can settle this in a court of law.
I would ask for a motion to recess.
Don't do it to these people. These people
makes the motion.
show respect for these people and do what you, and give me a citation.
Anyone object to recessing?
Yes, you ought to all object. Let this man walk out by himself. He needs to be removed. You should remove him and Larry should both remove. You should all sit there and let him march off. You don't deserve to be chairman. You should be removed. If you march off with him, you're just as bad as he is, as far as I'm concerned.
We'll come back with you.
I know, yeah. I'm going to be right here waiting for you. You're going to give me a citation or I'm not leaving this podium. You're showing disrespect to all these people. Shame on you. Don't be doing that. Don't be doing that. Don't do it. You're breaking the law.
And Judge Vox said your judgment in her court applied only to the town of Hilton Head. Only to the town of Hilton Head, not to Bluffton and
Okay.
not to Beaufort County. So stop quoting Judge Vox because you're quoting her incorrectly.
Okay, now can I finish?
So if you would be kind enough to sit down and let us finish our meeting, we would appreciate it.
Okay, now, you ready for my comment to what you just said?
Yeah.
Okay. Judge Balks ruled that a POA, just so everybody knows, a POA is a power of attorney. A power of attorney gives me the rights to give Larry or Joe the right to pull the plug on my deathbed. It gives me the right to give them access to my bank account, and it gives anybody the right to give me their 3-minute POA to make a speech for them.
Skip, not a speech.
I can tell you that wait a minute, no, Larry,
Not a
you ought to be ashamed of yourself. Hey,
I'm
don't
ashamed of
interrupt me.
myself every
Let me
day.
finish. I didn't interrupt you. Let me finish. You should be ashamed of yourself being a judge, a past judge, okay? You should know better. A POA, if I let them get away with this tonight, that means a POA can be diluted.
Mr.
and
Hoagland.
violated.
Skip.
And we're not going to allow that. We're not
Mr.
gonna allow
Hoagland.
the POA to be violated. We're not going to do it.
Skip,
Yes.
please take the dog and pony show somewhere else.
No,
These
this is,
people
no,
like to
no,
talk
no,
about
this
their
is,
items.
let me-
I'm not
no,
finished.
you know what, I don't care what you have to say,
That's
because
fine.
you don't
And
know
at this
enough to
point,
even say it.
I don't care what you have to
You know,
say
you're a
because-
school teacher, you don't know anything about the law, you know nothing. You know nothing. I mean, what do you know? I'm quoting you the law. A school teacher has a skill set, but this is not your skill set.
Your night is over.
No, my night's not over. I want a citation,
Have a nice
I
night.
want to resolve the POA issue, and that's what I want to do. I want to get this resolved.
Your attention, please.
I'm not going to allow you to violate the POA. I'm not going to do it.
At this point in time, our citizen comment period for this portion is now over. We're moving on.
That's a shame that you're violating these people that
Okay.
want to speak.
Are there any committee
That's an
reports?
absolute crime that you would violate these people. And I will have the public comment coming up on the last part of this session, and I encourage everybody to stay here and listen to my comments and other people's
All right.
comments at the
Yeah,
last
are there
part
any
of the
liaison
meeting.
reports?
Hey, stick the general
Okay,
public
go ahead.
comments last, showing disrespect to the public.
Okay, yes, I have liaison reports. County Transportation Committee met on November 15th. There was an update on SCDOT projects, very interesting. Update on dirt roads, and update on year 6-7 resurfacing and rejuvenator, and of course, the infamous 170 Triangle and 278 Bridge. I also attended a school board rebranding session. They hired a consultant to redo their logo and their motto. So that'll be coming out. And then on last Tuesday, Jared was kind enough, and Brittany, to join us. We had a county and town of Bluffton community meeting. Joe was there, I was there at the Bluffton Police Station for transportation planning for State Route 46 and New Riverside area. There were about 75 people in attendance because that's a highly trafficked area and there were a lot of safety concerns. Thank you.
Any others?
No, sir.
They'll get to speak. They'll get to speak. Okay, seeing no other reports, we're going to move for the approval of the consent agenda, minus the one item.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Cunningham makes the motion.
Second.
Mr. McKellen makes the second, duly motioned and seconded. Any objections? Seeing no objections, the consent agenda is approved. We're now at item 15A, which is item 5 on the consent agenda. May I have a motion authorizing the approval for the interim county administrator to negotiate and enter into a contract with Low Country Ferry LLC for the provision of ferry services to and from Daufuskie Island?
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Lawson makes the motion, Ms. Brown makes the second. Is there any need for us to go into executive session regarding this item? May I have such a motion, please?
I make a motion, we go into executive session regarding this item.
Thank you.
May I have a
I'll
second?
second.
Mr. Lawson makes a second, duly motioned and seconded. I have it here someplace.
Chairman.
What's the,
Chairman,
yeah.
the purpose of the executive session is to discuss negotiations incident to contractual arrangements.
Yep. I had the motion here, and somehow or other it is gone. Oh, here it is. It is that we go into executive session pursuant to South Carolina Code Section 30-4-70A2, discuss of negotiations incident to proposed contractual recommendations. Duly motioned and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are now in executive session. This shouldn't take too long. We'll come out and then we will have an additional discussion. Those individuals that wanted to address us, who were duly interrupted, I will allow you time to address us at that time. and second to discuss this item.
Right.
We already had a,
You already had a motion.
we had a motion and a second.
Mr. Lawson and Ms. Brown.
Okay.
Talk about the item, and then you made a subsidiary motion.
Gotcha. All right. Okay, so we are back from executive session. We have an agenda item on the table for discussion. It is authorization for the interim county administrator to negotiate and enter into a contract with Low Country Ferry for the provision of ferry services to and from Daufuskie Island. During our first comment period, we had a couple people who did want to address council regarding that particular item. It was Jen Clementoni.
No, sorry. They're behind us. I was here for the passive part.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jen.
That's okay.
Okay, it's Christine Richard.
Yeah, we're the passive part. I think there were some other folks here for the Daufuskie.
Okay, I see Brian Cobb for the ferry. Please come forward.
I see the agenda item 16 is is not that. It's 17. I see. So where are you getting that?
Go ahead, sir.
We change it.
Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Brian Cobb. For the past 8 years, I've been a full-time resident of Daufuskie Island. My wife Pam and I own and operate a small business, School Grounds Coffee. We're also co-owners of the island's largest and longest-running tour company, Tour Daufuskie. Our businesses, as well as all of the island's small businesses, depend on ferry service. Our ferry is the lifeline to the island. It's as vital to Daufuskie as the Highway 278 bridge is to Hilton Head. For the past 6 years, tourism has grown and flourished on Daufuskie, thanks in no small part to the exemplary service provided by the Daufuskie Island Ferry Company. Residents and tourists alike have been able to count on their services, which include a minimum of 4 round trips to and from Daufuskie daily. In 6 years, not one single scheduled run has been missed. During peak tourist season, which begins with spring breaks in March and continues through Labor Day in September, demands for ferry seats is always met by the Daufuskie Island Ferry Company. Whenever demands for seats exceed a ferry's capacity, the Daufuskie Island Ferry Company always provides a second or even a third to accommodate the numbers of passengers and all the luggage and cargo that goes with that. Last year, the Daufuskie Island Ferry Company provided safe and efficient transportation to over 44,000 paying tourists. This number does not include the number of round trips that approximately 300 full-time or part-time residents also count on to travel to and from the island. I'm here to ask you to please consider these questions. Does the ferry provider you will cast your vote for have a proven record of over 30 years of satisfactory and efficient ferry service? Can the ferry provider you will vote for provide a fleet of ferries, not boats, but actual ferries with enclosed, climate-controlled cabins that everyone, including handicapped or persons with special needs, can walk onto or roll into with wheelchairs, not just boats that have to be stepped down into and are a safety concern, especially for the many senior citizens who live on Daufuskie? If the answer to either of these questions is no, please do not vote for that provider. To do so will be a vote against hundreds of Daufuskie residents and the many small businesses on Daufuskie, which count on these established ferry services to make their businesses successful. Daufuskie has a growing population. The current provider, the Daufuskie Island Ferry Company, is willing and able to grow with the island and to meet the needs of today as well as the needs of the future. I thank you for your time and consideration of what is truly in the best interest of Daufuskie Island. Thank you.
Thank you. Members of council, any discussion on this particular item before we take our vote? Moving around. Mr. Lawson.
Yes, and this is a subject that obviously never comes easy, and we have worked on this for many, many years. And again, the Daufuskie Island ferry service, people have to realize that this council of Beaufort County is not obligated to provide us ferry service. We do this out of concern for the good of the Daufuskie Island people. So for us, we have to juggle what is the the price, but more importantly, still looking at some of the things that Brian had just mentioned here. So for us, our interest, again, is to help the people of Daufuskie. So in saying that, we're going to make decisions. We're going to do things we think that is best for Daufuskie Island. With this, obviously, we're looking at making a change from where we were before. And that there will be growing pains. There's some good things about this. There's things that we're going to have to look at taking care of and moving forward. But again, in the overall scheme of things, we're going to ask that people have faith in us. Let us make a decision that is going to be in their best interest. Otherwise, if we go with some of these other numbers we're looking at, it becomes so expensive that the people of Daufuskie won't even be able to ride the ferry, would have to raise fees so much for just even local people to ride the ferry that it wouldn't make sense for us to provide that service. So again, I've kind of talked here and kind of gone in circles like a dog chasing my tail, but again, it's something that we just need to move forward, relying on our staff, relying on decisions that are made, and again, juggling all these things, knowing that again, we're going to do our best to make sure that we provide the best ferry service that we can.
Is there anyone else?
I just want to comment. I hear what Mr. Lawton is saying, and I just want to make it clear, as far as I'm concerned, that we are not compromising quality services for the Daufuskie. They may be riding in a Chevrolet, which I have no problem with, versus a Cadillac, but it's still a good car to drive. And it's probably on the same chassis as a Cadillac. So we're not compromising our services at all.
Is there anyone who wishes this to be a roll call vote? Seeing none, this will be approved without objection, and I see no objections. Moving on, item number 16, which was time sensitive. Those of you who were here, we heard from the Sales Tax Advisory Committee. We now have approval of a resolution to adopt the recommendations of the Sales Tax Advisory Committee regarding consideration of a 2024 sales tax referendum. May I have such a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Ms. Howard made the motion, Mr. Cunningham made the second. Duly motioned and second. Any discussion? Seeing none, this will be approved without objection, and I see no objections. Item number 17 is a first reading of an ordinance appropriating funds from the state 2% accommodations tax fund and other matters related thereto. May I have such a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Cunningham makes the motion. A second.
Second.
Mr. McKellen, you were the second.
Yep.
Sorry, I was writing something down. Okay. Discussion.
Mr. Chair.
Ms.
So,
Tabernick.
as I read through the list of what was proposed by our committee, a couple of things stood out. First of all, by South Carolina Code 6425, we're supposed to have 7 members. Our ATAX committee had 5, and only 3 made the recommendations. And on some, when someone had to recuse themselves, it was 2 making a recommendation. But I would like to hear from council members, what is everyone's pleasure about setting aside 15% of the state allocation, which is $1 million, which I find weird that it's a round number, but whatever. I'd like to hear what council members think about setting aside 15% of that, which would be $150,000 for affordable housing, which was passed by the legislature earlier this year. And we don't have to use it right now. It's for 7 years. Mr. Robinson explained that to us. We all heard about it. But I'd like to know what council thinks, because I would like to know that before we approve this list in front of us.
So is that a recommended motion to amend this?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, can I point out, Councilman Tabernick, you remember that the legislature said that council can devote 15% of its state aid tax. However, before doing so, it has to it has to conduct a study, it has to amend the comp plan. I think
we're putting the cart before the horse a little bit on this one.
Well, when we talked at, I don't know if it was Soloco or where it was, Bluffton's already done it. They're willing to share it with us. We would piggyback on their study. But this just sets aside the money. It doesn't authorize us to spend it yet. My understanding is we can set it aside, and it says the bill's in effect till 2030. We don't have to spend it right now, is my understanding. If that's not right, you can tell me. But we have to do the due diligence before.
Well, I haven't looked carefully at the statute to make sure that you have to do the study before you set it aside, but, so.
And my other concern, well, so I would like to entertain that if people would discuss it. And my other issue was, we have $1 million and we're granting grants to a lot of groups that are getting money from Hilton Head and other places, and I'm not willing to vote for this group, this recommendations.
Okay. Did you still want to make a motion to amend?
Well, I thought we were in discussion period. I'd like to hear what people think.
You
Maybe
have to
they're
make-
not inclined for it.
First for discussion.
Right.
What?
To discuss that, we would have to make an amendment to this.
Okay.
Specific to that.
That's fine. I'll make a motion to amend it to include a set aside of 15% from the state aid tax to use for affordable housing when we do all the fun
Okay,
stuff.
so we have a motion and a second on the floor to amend the $1 million that is set aside here to have 15% of it taken out to specifically be used for affordable housing. Mr. Coveney.
I was unaware that this motion might be made, but
Sorry.
it's my recollection that based on the exhibit that we received, the committee recommended appropriation of the full $1 million. Is that right?
Yes.
So your motion would have to be to amend the pending motion to set aside 15%. And like I said, I'm not sure that complies with the state statute, but to set aside the 15% and do what with the current recommendations? Reduce each of them by 15%?
Okay, then I would do set aside the 15% and recommend we send this list back to committee to carve out $150,000.
Well, you could just recommend every item be reduced by 15%.
I don't know if you can do that with the DMO. I mean, I think it goes back to committee. Three people decided to assign this money. Let them find the $150,000. That's the motion.
It's duly motioned and seconded.
Mr. Chair?
It's been seconded?
Yes.
David.
David, second.
Mr. Bartholomew seconded it. So I will go around. I will start with Mr. Lawson.
And it's not that if you do want to set aside money for the affordable housing, then I would probably recommend that we leave things where they are for this year, and then we make a motion that, starting next year, that 15% of all the monies that come in would then be available. So again, these ones would go through as they are right now. But next year, knowing if we had $1 million or $1.5 million or whatever, if this council decides they'd like to spend that 15%, well, then the committees know that, everyone knows that our 15% is going to be set aside for affordable homes. So again, I would probably not vote for what you're proposing, even though I don't necessarily disagree with it. But again, I think that where we are right now, it's better to go forward with our recommended ATAX amounts and then look at this fresh again for next year.
Okay, I'm going to go around the room. Mr. Dawson, any comments?
I'll support the motion.
Support the motion. Mr. Cunningham.
Still undecided, 100%. I'll tell you this. Just going through looking at some of these numbers, I'm not opposed to the idea. I would have liked to have been able to discuss some of this a little bit more ahead of time before I got here today. But with that said, I do like the long-term effect that Mr. Lawson has just stated, if this is something that we could put into an ordinance for 10 years. Instead of amending this specific one, then why don't we put something in place that says, okay, for the next 10 years, we're going to dedicate 15%, no matter how much that ATAX money is, all the way down instead of going back to the drawing board on this one, unless there's something specifically on here that we have an issue with for these funding sources here.
Okay? I will save you for last. Mr. Reeds, any comments?
Good right now.
Okay? Mr. Glover?
I don't have a problem with what Tab has spoken about, but I'd like to see a bigger picture so I can see a complete. I think the committee has done what we asked them to do, and it's here, and I want to support what's here. Going in, even next year, if that's what we decide to do as a body, they'll know up front that they need to set aside X amount of dollars for that, so I'm not going to support the motion.
Okay? Ms. Howard?
I'll support the motion because, you know, 150,000, when you look at the big picture, it doesn't sound like a lot of money, but it is 15%. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that money, we can set that aside, and then, you know, that might buy a small piece of property or something for some affordable housing somewhere. So anyway, yeah,
I
I'll
agree
support the
with-
motion.
Ms.
I
Brown?
support it too.
Okay? Mr. McCullen?
I agree with Mr. Lawson, and I think we have adequate alternate funding available this year for workforce housing. And I think that we should put this through as recommended and make preparations for next year with an ordinance. And we can make it for 10 years, or we can do it year by year.
Yeah.
But I think we have adequate alternate funding available, and $150,000 creates a whole host of other issues that we really shouldn't have to deal with.
I think the requirement is that you have to do a study, not that we have to have an ordinance.
Right.
Am I correct?
No, I think you have to have an ordinance.
You have to have an
And,
ordinance?
yeah, you have to have an ordinance. It's very involved.
Yes, it is.
Well,
And I can comment on it at second reading, but I didn't anticipate this
Right.
motion, so I really don't want
So we
to
have to
try
have
to
an
give you
ordinance, and
advice.
we have to have a study done.
Yeah,
Right.
But they
yeah.
can be done. I mean, it's not
Yeah, they
like
can be
it's
done.
impossible,
Sure,
so
that's true. It's not
okay.
impossible.
Mr. Bartholomew?
I'm kind of like Logan over here. I'm kind of on the fence about this. I do want to set aside 15%. You know, I think we should reserve some of that, but I think the timing of this, it may be better, like Mr. Lawson said, to set that up for next year. So once again, I'm still kind of on the fence about that, but I'm inclined to vote against it this go around.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, one other
Yes.
thing. At Finance Committee, I was not here November 20th. I was wherever I was, Ohio. And I brought up this very thing about using ATAX funds. So this is not clearly out of the blue. And I also discussed it in April when we approved last year's ATAX funds. So, I mean, we just haven't had a meeting since then. So that's why I'm bringing it up.
Okay, from what I hear, and we will vote on the amendment, certainly if the ATAX committee had known the desires of council up front, they would have brought back something different than spending the $1 million this way. And so going forward, obviously, it seems to be the will of council that we do want money set aside for affordable housing in terms of 15%. We can do that not only for the state ATAX, we can also do it for the local ATAX as well. Doing a ordinance that we have to do requires 3 readings and a public hearing, so that would defer all of this for an extended period of time. So I am reluctant to approve this the way it is myself. So let us take the vote. Would you please call the roll?
Yes, sir.
This is on the amendment to do exactly what she says, which is to change 15% set aside and send it back to the committee to adjust the numbers.
Councilmember Tabernick,
Yes on the amendment.
Councilmember Bartholomew,
I'm actually going to vote yes on the amendment.
Councilmember Reeds,
Yes.
Councilmember Lawson,
Mark Lawson, no.
Councilmember Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Cunningham,
No.
Councilmember Howard,
Yes.
Councilmember Glover,
No.
Councilmember Dawson,
Yes.
Vice Chair McEllen,
No.
Chairman Passman,
What is the current vote?
6-4.
6 to 4.
6 to 4? Okay, then I will say no. Make it 6-5.
Motion passes.
Okay, so we are now at a discussion of the amended motion that says we're going to have the first reading of an ordinance appropriating funds from the state accommodations tax fund to set aside 15% to send it back to the ATAX committee for them to take a look at the funding, the recommended fundings to reduce those recommended fundings by $150,000. Is there any further discussion before we vote on the amended motion? Seeing none, do we need to call the roll?
Yes.
Okay, would you call the roll?
Councilmember Cunningham,
No.
Vice Chair McEllen,
Nope.
Councilmember Reeds,
No.
Councilmember Lawson,
Mark Lawson, no.
Councilmember Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Tabernick,
Yes.
Councilmember Howard,
Yes.
Councilmember Glover,
No.
Councilmember Bartholomew,
Yes.
Councilmember Dawson,
Yes.
Chairman Passman. It's
I am going
5-5.
to- I'm sorry?
It's 5-5.
It is 5-5.
Somebody changed their mind.
This is very troublesome, but I'm going to say yes.
Motion passes.
Yes, so it is going to go back to the committee to have them take out $150,000. Okay, moving on to the next one. Item 18 is a first reading of an ordinance declaring certain real property located at 2 Mullet Street as surplus property, authorizing the interim county administrator to execute any documents necessary for the sale of the real property and allocating proceeds from the sale of the real property. May I have such a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Mr. Lawson and Ms. Brown made the motion. Duly motioned and seconded. Is there any discussion?
I'll speak again. This is in my district, so
Yes.
I'll go first.
Yeah.
And obviously, we purchased this property, and at that time, I called it a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to buy a piece of property next to the current landing, to expand a landing that is very busy and used quite a bit, and for us to be able to purchase the next door property, which had a house on it, but be able then to expand the parking lot. Also in that purchase was to get a private dock, that we could also then have a public dock on that, so have a landing and then a private dock next door. So when we purchased this property, everyone came and said, what's gonna happen now with the home? And at the time, I told them we'd wait for staff to come back with their recommendation. And it'd be three things. One would be to tear the house down and make everything a park there, which would be a very expensive item to do that after we paid for the house. The second thing would be that we could possibly put a renter in there and rent it long-term. And then the third thing was to do what staff has now come back and recommended, which is to actually separate as much property out as we can, and then turn around and sell the home as a residential dwelling to someone else. And I think that's what the neighborhood wanted, because that then creates the buffer that they all wanted. They wanted to leave the buffer that was there. So I think they've come back and recommended the best option. And obviously, we're going to put the property up for sale. As far as I know, it has already appraised for more than what we purchased it for. And then we would be able to sell the property, turn around, use that money then to enhance the landing and the parking and the other boat, the other dock that's going to be there. So again, in my district, and I think this is a wonderful thing. And so I think in the end, it's the best thing that could have happened.
Any other comments? Seeing none, this will be done without objection. Are there any objections? Seeing none, this is approved. Item
Chairman,
number,
before you go on, just a moment of personal privilege. I do want to acknowledge Mr. Stewart in the audience, who's the vice chairman of the Accommodation Tax Committee.
19 is the first reading of an ordinance authorizing the interim county administrator to enter into a lease agreement for real property located at 39 Airport Circle with Cindy Holman. A motion and
So moved,
second.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Cunningham, Mr. Bartholomew. Duly motion and second. Any discussion? Seeing none, this will be done without objection, and I see no objections. Item 20 is the first reading of an ordinance authorizing the interim county administrator to enter into a lease agreement for real property located at 39 Airport Circle with Matt Archer.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Cunningham?
I'll second it.
Ms. Tabernick? Duly motioned and second. Any discussion? This will be done without objection, and I see no objection. Item number 21 is the first reading of an ordinance conveying an easement located on a portion of real property at 55 Gardner Drive to the town of Hilton Head Island.
So moved.
Mr. McKellen made the motion.
I'll second that.
Ms. Brown made the second. Duly motioned and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, this will be approved without objection, and I see no objections. Item number 22 is the approval of a resolution to adopt the Passive Parks Department Private Business Use Policy Application and Fee Schedule. The motion, please.
So moved.
Mr. Dawson makes the motion.
I'll second the motion.
Ms. Howard makes the second. Before we have a discussion, there were a couple people that did want to come before us and talk about that. Christine or Jen, whichever wants to go first. I know you've waited so long, so I know the three of you want to comment.
Yes, we do. So thank you so much.
Okay, are you all saying the same thing?
I'm going to let Jen and Christy speak, but I wanted to at least introduce myself as someone who has represented my issues with the current passive park policy. I'm Jill Moore with More to Life, so I have a nature-based company and utilize our parks for private communities and individuals as well as tourists.
Okay, so then you want to speak after them, so we'll let you
They
speak.
can speak for me. We're all in the same.
Okay.
We're
Go
all
ahead.
a team. We are hoping to work together.
We're rowing in the same boat, let's put it that way. So, good evening, my name is Jen Clementoni. My husband and John and I are co-owners of Birding Beaufort, which is a first-of-its-kind company in this area focused on tours strictly for birders. Birding is an extremely popular hobby, and 45 million people in the United States identify as birders and spend nearly $39 billion on travel and equipment. The thing about birders is we spend money on our hobby. Beyond the gear, we stay in campgrounds, hotels, eat at restaurants, shop at grocery stores, and purchase things we forget like sunscreen and et cetera. And that all goes to support local economies. There are limited resources for us to conduct tours. We highlight our beautiful spaces. We teach people about the landscape, watershed, native plants, and conservation. While I can respect the proposal as trying to cover expenses, it was a little disheartening because for me personally, we charge between $25 to $35 per person, and to enact a $100 per use fee plus 30 days notice is just something that would put us completely out of business. We are leaving less of a footprint at any of the parks that we use than we did before by picking up trash. We generally have very small groups of people, and we conduct them between 8:30 to 9 o'clock in the morning and are done before 90 minutes is over. Any of us could have been a tapped resource as far as trying to come up with alternative solutions and trying to figure out a way to make this work for everybody. You know, we pay a fee to DNR yearly. I pay a fee to the state, and I pay a fee to Hunting Island. I provide them with a comprehensive insurance policy of which they're named as a hold harmless. So it's not like we're just a fly-by-the-night kind of an organization. But Beaufort County actually has an amazing opportunity to expand its tourism dollars, especially in ecotourism. We organized a festival recently this past September that drew in 117 people from 5 different states. So, you know, anything that we can do to try to work to keep our park system noticed and have people educated, especially as people, excuse my language, migrate, it would be helpful to educate those folks, but it would really put most of our small businesses completely out of business enacting this fee. So I thank you so much for your time and allowing me to speak.
Hey there, I'm Christine Richard. I am a low country master naturalist. I grew up on Hilton Head and in Bluffton, attending grades K through 12 there, and then started teaching with Beaufort County in 2006. I've been a teacher with them, and most recently I was the lower school principal at Cross Schools. I just recently started Angel Oak Nature Academy, which is an outdoor education program. So through Angel Oak's programs, I teach children about our local floral and fauna. I help foster a love for nature so that they can grow up to protect this land that my family and I call home. I started this business to give our local children an alternative to the traditional classroom by teaching them in a classroom with no walls. I'm here tonight because the suggested passive parks usage policy presented is very concerning and will negatively affect my business as well as others. But more importantly, it will take away the priceless learning opportunities for the children that I explore with. I have the same goals as passive parks in that it is very important for us to preserve and protect this beautiful low country that I call home. With my 6 students and I walking around in passive parks, we are sure to pick up trash, remain quiet, especially if we see someone with binoculars or a camera, and we show respect to others that are enjoying the natural beauty of God's creation. Though I am of the same mindset as Passive Park, the Passive Park Department, and I desire to conserve, protect, and ensure the overall enjoyment of all the parks for all the people, I strongly disagree with the private business policy that they have submitted, where we would need to turn in an application 30 days in advance. That's really hard because as naturalists, you know, the seasons, the local happenings, that is dictated by nature. We don't get to make that call. So I don't know the timeline until I go out and then I see, okay, I need to take the kids to go see, you know, whatever this is. So a 30 days notice would be really difficult for me to have to turn in an application for every time we go visit the parks. And then to pay $100, $300, up to $500 a visit, depending on the amount of time we want to be at the parks, that would absolutely break my business as well. So I'm just asking that this not be approved because the children in the program wouldn't be able to learn outdoors with me and then things that are going on. So I am more than willing to pay for an annual permit allowing me to teach the kids in various parks. That would be very doable, and I just am hoping to find a compromise, something that would be a little bit more feasible for a small business such as ours. I'll just end there. That's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're Tamala?
I am.
Go ahead, Tamala.
Hi, my name is Tamala Connor. I live in Beaufort, South Carolina. I'm a master naturalist. I'm also a member of the City of Beaufort's Parks and Trees Advisory Council. I submitted these comments online, but I would like to have them recorded. The Passive Parks Resolution to convert the county's passive parks into revenue-generating properties currently up for vote needs deeper vetting. I encourage county council members to proceed with extreme prejudice to this resolution and to investigate further into the unclear areas surrounding the resolution before making a decision about whether to pass it or not. The push to pass a revenue-forward resolution for our Beaufort County passive parks is not only rushed and lacks considerable details as to how it will actually be managed and enforced. The resolution as it stands today lacks details and accountability as well as to how the funds generated will be utilized and spent. Limiting public use of these spaces will detrimentally impact the communities they serve, as well as the local microeconomies in the communities housing the parks. It will inhibit citizens from utilizing and enjoying these spaces and will become an oversight burden on the county should the policy ever contain specifics on how it is to be enforced. Please wisely vote to not pass this resolution as it stands today and encourage the Passive Parks team to connect more with the citizens and the nonprofit groups, because the resolution does limit the use of the parks to nonprofit groups. in the county before proposing a policy that deters ecotourism, the growth of our communities, and prevents open public enjoyment of these passive park spaces. Thank you very much for giving me your time.
Okay. We'll go around the room. Mr. Dawson, you made the motion. You get to speak first on this item.
Yeah, I support the recommendation from Passive Park Director and over the fact that the parks were being used for purposes that we felt weren't conducive. And we advised her to come up with some recommendations to actually control the access and activities in these parks. And I think the resolution that she's put before us, I think, does just that, so.
Ms. Howard, you made the second.
Yes, thank you. I talked to several nonprofit groups once it came through committee and pointed out to them that the nonprofits can still use it. I admire that there are groups that do birding for profit, small businesses, that's great. Ecotourism is a great thing to add to our county. But I will bring up an example. As we well know, on certain weekends, Hunting Island, they have to close the gate because there's too many people. And I could see that happening at some of our passive parks too. And we have this as a mechanism to control that. And, Memorial Day, 4th of July, too many people go to Hunting Island and they have to close the gate because you can kill a good thing with too much use, especially when we have nesting bald eagles on some of our passive parks. We have to have a way to control it, whether you're a birder or you're doing photography, whether you're a nonprofit or if you're a for-profit group. So that's why I support this.
Going around the room, Mr. Reeds?
Good, thank you.
Mr. Lawson?
When I first read this, I thought that I was going to support it, but I think right now, I think that it does need to be looked at and possibly modified. I mean, if you understand what we're trying to do, we're trying to keep a photography person going to a passive park, setting up and keeping a pavilion occupied for hours and hours, or doing it multiple times every weekend, and again, they're using the passive park as their business location. So again, that's why we looked at this, but as I've listened to what y'all talked about, there obviously might be an overreach as I'm looking at this. I don't know what the answer is, but this is a resolution. So if we pass this passes tonight. It's not an ordinance. We have to pass this 3 times. I will vote against it, but voting against it, I will ask to go back and modify it that it would be more inclusive of all organizations.
Mr. Glover?
Yes, I'm on the same language with Mark. I don't know what, Mark, we've probably seen eye to eye today. I don't know why, but I'm not a naturalist, but I like nature. And I can tell you that working with Clemson, one of my best programs was actually taking kids out in the wild and seeing nature exist. And when I see that or hear that, I think it's something that we want to encourage. So I look at the pricing. I can tell you that at Clemson, I could not afford to come to your park because of the cost. And even though I would bring only 20 or 30 kids there, I couldn't afford that price. I think we need to look at the price, and I think we need to have some control on the public. But I think the pricing may be something that we need to reconsider or to consider, and talking to some of the nonprofit groups to see what is workable with them as far as pricing.
Can I clarify something with, if I understand it, the nonprofits don't have to pay, correct?
That's my understanding.
Right.
But it's still kind of high for business, yeah.
I just wanted to.
Yeah.
clear that up.
I can clarify that. Yes, nonprofits do not have to pay. They're exempt from it.
Right, sorry to interrupt.
Ms. Taberman?
I support the motion as described by Gerald and Ms. Howard. I'll vote yes.
Ms. Brown?
Same with I agree with Ms. Tavern. I'll support it.
Mr. Cunningham?
Yeah, I still have a lot of issues with this, to be honest. We say that in here in quotations doesn't necessarily have to continue to be an event. A school field trip would put more damage on this than bird watching or even a photography session. Now, I'm not saying I want somebody to go sit up in one of our pavilions for 4 hours doing a photo shoot. So let's address the one issue with the person. We shouldn't change an entire ordinance because of one business that's overextending it and ruining it for everybody else. I understand that there's a need for that to be addressed, but I've never been a fan of extending our government reach. And to me, that's what it is. We're adding another step in our government. We're creating a policy to limit how people can use our parks, when they can use the parks that already have hours and gates on most of them to begin with, for parks that they already paid for through their taxes, and the maintenance of them is also paid for by our taxes. So I have a lot of issues with it. We already have an application process for big events, as we should. If that needs to get into people when you are setting up something structurally that's going to be held, then maybe that's a requirement. But I can tell you, I was told about an hour and 15 minutes ago that I was just a teacher, so I didn't really know anything. But definitely took our kids on field trips at our parks on Hilton Head when I taught there, as well as other areas outside of Beaufort County. So I'd hate to see what the price tag would have been for one of our schools. We've been said that nonprofits don't have to pay, but then the question comes in, do they have to provide documentation that they are tax exempt and they're a nonprofit?
And they still have to.
Yes.
So they would still have to go through the application process, still fill out the paperwork, and then have to provide that they're tax exempt, which means they would have to have some type of business to do that. This still restricts a group going from Sun City of getting 20 of their friends together and going out to the parks. And if it doesn't, then I have even more questions because that puts more damage on a passive park than 5 people going to watch birds. So I am 100% against this. I have no problem with talking about the idea of companies are going to use it, that they do have to pay for, a yearly pass. And then maybe the yearly passes are decided on the size of your business and how many people you bring out per visit. I think that's something that's feasible. And honestly, I think this puts more work on our county staff than need be as well. But those are my thoughts.
Okay. Mr. McCall?
I'll be brief, I promise. I was moved by the sincerity of the comments. I think we have to readjust this, and we can limit access on the heavily utilized days, but I think people who are engaged in educational, I'll use that broadly, programs, and I like the idea of the annual pass at a reduced rate for people like that. So I'll vote against this as well.
Mr. Bartholomew?
I'll keep this brief as well. I think I was the only one to vote no at the committee. I saw the issues that it's going to create with small business, and I think there's also an enforceability issue. While I understand the compelling government interest for adopting some type of rules and procedure for this, I think this will cripple some businesses. I mean, as you already heard, it's going to shut down business if we implement this. I think most people that I talk to that own the small businesses, I think they would actually be on board with some type of park pass or something like that can be tied to their business license for use. That would alleviate the insurance concerns and allow some control and oversight. But I think this also creates a huge enforceability issue. How do you know that, a group of 6 or 7 is out there for a profit or nonprofit? Who's going to be going out there checking on this? Am I going to have to show my papers if I get out there? I just think I think this is bad policy. I think it needs to go back to committee, and I think we need to work on this before we implement it.
Mr. Chairman, may I? Can I make a recommendation to send this back to public facilities would work? Or if you want to send it, that's fine as well, to natural resources.
So you are now
I am making
amending.
the motion to send it back to public,
No. Community
natural,
services.
community services, to revisit the structure of it.
Okay, so we have a motion to
I'll second
amend,
that.
and we have 82 people that have chosen to be the second. We'll give it to Ms. Brown, who'll be the seconder. Okay, motion and second, based upon the conversation we've had, to send it back to our Community Services Committee. Any further discussion on that?
just want to say the reason I want to do that is because I think there is a sense behind this.
Yeah.
We just got to fine tune this to make it successful for the majority of people
Right.
in Beaufort County and not shut down our passive parks.
Do we need to call the roll?
No.
This will be done without objection. I see no objections. Therefore, we will send this back to the Community Services Committee. Thank you for your input. We do appreciate what you said. Okay. Moving right along. Item number 23 is an approval of a resolution reallocating $600,000 of the American Rescue Plan Act revenue from infrastructure projects to workforce housing projects. May I have such a motion?
So moved.
Mr. McKellen makes the motion.
I'll make the second.
Ms. Howard makes the second. Duly motioned and seconded, and we have two people who would like to address council on that. Mr. Wetmore, will ask you to come first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and council members. My name is Dave Wetmore. I'm the Vice Chairman of the Coastal Community Development Corporation, which is a 501c3 corporation dedicated to addressing workforce housing in Beaufort County. How did this all come about? There probably isn't anybody you talk to around the county that doesn't recognize the problem we have. Our workers, many of whom were very highly paid even, can't afford to work here. The genesis of the idea came when Alan Wolf, who is the CEO of the Surge Group, who has 6 children, and he was sitting at dinner with his wife, and his wife said, none of our kids are going to be able to live here. And so Alan formed a group, and they started to study the issue around the country, and this is not a problem that isn't experienced by virtually any coastal community or anything in a ski mountain, anywhere there's access and where property values skyrocket. And so a number of communities have solved the problem, and in studying this, he met with the head of the community foundation, who indicated that the foundation may be willing to invest some of their endowment at a lesser return than they would get in the marketplace. Call it altruistic investing. And that spurred the idea that perhaps forming a not-for-profit and soliciting members of the community who recognize the problem, that we might be able to generate funds from people who are willing to accept a lesser return on their investment dollars than they could get in the marketplace. And that's exactly what we have done. In fact, we are trying to bend the cost curve across the entire spectrum of owning property. And we have asked rental agents normally charge 12% to manage the properties. We've gotten a 10% commission. We'd ask people that are going to do work on repairing the properties to charge less. The real estate agents are cutting their commissions. The lawyers that work with this have done the work pro bono. And so because of this, we are able to buy existing properties. There were 600 transactions, I think, last year in the $200,000 to $300,000 space in Beaufort County, and we are able to buy these at a lower price and covenant them for workforce housing for 99 years, which is the longest you can go in South Carolina. So we have an eminently practical, doable, and immediately put into effect solution, and we need support to make it happen. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And Mr. Stewart, please come forward.
Thank you. First, thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for your service on council. It can sometimes be a thankless task, but it's always entertaining and often informative, so I'm happy to be here. And it's a real pleasure to be in a room where you say, pledge allegiance to our flag and to our Constitution. I think those things matter, and they matter to those of us who appreciate that government doesn't work without you and the people out here in the audience participating. Having said that, a fundamental part of the American dream has always been, until recent years, the ability to acquire a home, raise a family, and pass that along as intergenerational wealth. We have abandoned that. There's a process by which we need to recreate that. There was a study done in 2018 that indicates we're over 4,500 housing units short in Beaufort County for affordable workforce housing. I don't know what the value is of having a teacher live in the neighborhood where their school is. I don't know what the value is of having a healthcare worker live in the neighborhood where they work, but I know what the absolute value is of having good teachers and good healthcare workers. We're all going to need both of them. If you look at the national headlines, it's not difficult to think that if you had community policing officers living in the communities and neighborhoods where some of these incidents occurred, and they were familiar with the residents and the activities, some of this problem could have been avoided in our country and may have been resolved in a peaceful fashion. Having said that, I'm now the vice chairman of the Beaufort Jasper Housing Trust, which is represents 8 governments, one of which is Beaufort County, 6 municipalities in Jasper County, and a regional approach. And the reason that's important is because it can leverage a lot of assets that other people want to bring to the table to solve these problems and address these problems. What's been missing is leadership. There is a whole alphabet soup full of agencies that say they have programs, say they're going to do things, many of which need leadership to get them across the table. I'll mention one without mentioning the organization that has it, but they have millions of dollars dedicated to home repair. And in the year ending June 2023, and these aren't just in Beaufort County, this is statewide, they repaired one home, and none of the rest of them would pass the requirements. And the requirements included that for $45,000, you would be able to bring a home from whatever condition it's in to full compliance with current building codes. Many of our houses here are more than 40 years old, and bringing them up to speed, to bring them all the way up to code, is just not something that can be done for much larger amounts than that. I urge us to consider this resolution because what's been missing is a local government agency like this one leading so we can bring those resources together and bring focus on what's needed here. It is not going to happen because some remote agency with a lot of acronyms is going to solve this problem for us. It will be because you, and trusting in your staff to put together the right regulations and requirements to see that this money produces the results that we all want, will set the stage for other future successes in the future. I hope you'll do this. Considering.
Okay, going around the room, Mr. McKellen, you made the motion. Any comments?
Yeah, I have some comments. It's been a flurry of emails today dealing with this, raising concerns about this project. And I agree with the concerns, and I think that we have addressed them in our conversations in preparation for this resolution. As both a taxpayer, myself, and a steward of county tax funds, I think we have to be very diligent in the care of the funds recommended for this use. We need a partner to provide oversight, administrative coordination, and organization to help us ensure that this funding is used properly. And we have such a partner in the Beaufort Jasper Regional Housing Trust Fund, who have agreed to take this project and to manage it for us and to ensure that adequate oversight is provided and administrative oversight is provided to hold people accountable for doing the things that they say they will do and to ensure that the money that they receive is actually spent for the things they intend to spend it on. I think it's important to note that the ARPA funds that we're using here are federal funds and that we're not using any ad valorem county property taxes from the people that own property here in Beaufort County. This is a redirection of some ARPA funds that were a federal grant to us, so we're not reaching into the coffers of any money provided that were ad valorem. I'm happy to say that we have a partner here with the Beaufort Jasper Regional Housing Trust Fund that can provide the necessary assistance to ensure that this program is honestly administered with great integrity. So I think we need to have an imaginative, viable, motivated, talented, successful group of people to work this program. And I think we've identified that in the Coastal Development Corporation because based on the presentations they've made and the due diligence that's been conducted, I think they're a viable organization that will provide us with a reality of having affordable housing available in the short term, not the medium term, and the long term. And I think that by encouraging them to participate with us as partners, not as complete funders, but as collaborators, under the guidance and leadership of the Regional Housing Trust Fund, we can make great progress in this area in the short term and eventually in the long term as well.
Ms. Howard, you were second.
Yes, when this first came forward, I had great objections to it because it was one organization identified. I still do not like that. I'm glad that we would use the Beaufort Jasper Housing Trust Fund as the administrator and overseer of it. I made the second because I do, as everyone probably knows me, since I was elected, I've been about affordable housing. I don't like the idea that we're identifying in the resolution one particular organization. And at this time, I'd like to amend the resolution to take out the words Coastal Community Development Corporation.
It isn't there.
It is, it's in the
It is.
resolution. It's
Oh, in the
last page.
resolution,
In the
I'm sorry.
resolution. And say, workforce housing projects, period, in unincorporated Beaufort County, and let them go through the process, just like any other organization in unincorporated Beaufort County could go to the Beaufort Jasper Housing Trust Fund. I think they are the right organization to get us through this, and I hope that we'll use more ARPA money for affordable and workforce housing. So I would like to
Okay,
make
so
that
that's,
amendment.
your motion is to remove the,
Coastal Community Development Corporation and
as
wording of the
identified in that
resolution.
resolution, because
I'll
it
second the
wasn't
motion.
identified there.
I'll second
And
it, yes.
Mr. Glover will be the second. Is there any comments from anybody on council?
Yeah, I have a comment. This resolution was specific to that organization, working in partnership with the Regional Housing Trust Fund. And the Housing Trust Fund has indicated they would take the ARPA funds and isolate it from the funds they're receiving from the county and municipalities that are members there. Because the Coastal Community Development Corporation has an application in with the Regional Housing Trust Fund and with other people who are collaborating to give them the funding they need to put people in houses. So I'm not sure I understand what the benefit would be of removing the recipient's name, because that's the group that was supposed to be receiving the ARPA funds to do the work that they're doing to develop affordable housing for the workforce. So I'm not sure I understand what the benefit would be of taking out their name and sending the money there if they're not going to get it.
Well, others can apply for it, and to be fair to other groups, that money would be set aside, and other groups did not have that opportunity.
Oh.
And there are other groups who have applied to the Beaufort Jasper Housing Trust Fund.
Okay.
With our ARPA money
Okay,
in
we're not going to
unincorporated Beaufort
debate.
County.
I'm not going to debate, I just want to point out, this is $600,000. There's another probably $5.5 million available that no one has yet asked for, and this money was specifically for them to undertake, in collaboration with all their other donors, the work they've identified to allow them to put people in workforce housing.
Okay,
So,
we have a motion and second. I'm going to go around the room. Mr. Lawson?
I am for the original resolution, and I say that we've identified a qualified organization, and again, I think we're doing it the proper way. So at this point, we have talked about affordable housing over and over and over again. I think I was 8 years old, and my one aunt, who was very colorful, I'm going to give you the PG version. She said either defecate or get off the toilet. And for us, it's time to put up or shut up, for us to move forward and do something about this. At this point, we do have funds available. I will probably not vote for the amendment, no offense, and go back to the original request, which was to give the money as defined.
Mr. Chairman,
Dawson.
Mr. Chairman, may I please, can
Yes.
somebody restate what the amended
The
motion
amendment
is?
motion was to remove Coastal Community Development Corporation from the resolution.
And that's from the now therefore? Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Mr. Dawson?
I support Alice's amendment.
Okay. Ms. Tabernacle?
Because Mr. McElwain talked about the housing trust will sort of be the governing body of this, that's nowhere in the resolution. This resolution says we're going to write $600,000 to CCDC. I would prefer that it does what Mr. Councilman McElwain said. That way the Housing Trust Fund is overseeing it. They will make sure they adhere to the requirements, and they have their lenders, and they're in charge of the money. That's not listed in this resolution. So I understand what Alice said, but the Housing Trust Fund needs to be in here.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, I have something, the vast majority of people that I talked to the last couple of days in my constituency, in my district, want me to vote no for this. I've met the Campbells and others through this. I like your thinking and all. There are a number of questions like Tab brought up. Could this be pushed back to be reworked? I mean, I sent John a ton of questions today about this that I want to get some answers to from my people. How do we do that? I mean, why do we need to vote on this right this minute? I mean, and if I was going to vote on it, I'd say no.
Mr. Cunningham?
Yeah, I haven't been here since I was for 8 years on council or anything like that. But I can tell you, I've watched years and years and years people sit up here, talk about it, and drag their feet, and nothing really is getting done. And every single person runs on the same campaign of doing the exact same thing over and over and over again. I'm hoping this council's different. If I don't do that, I lose next year, so be it. But I'm not a fan of kicking things down the road. We have an opportunity here of a group that we like the way they did it. They presented, came to us about it. We have other money if people want to apply. I have no problem putting the rest of the money out for people to apply for it. That's fine. And honestly, I'd rather name the company it's going to in public because that's more transparent than us seeing 7 of them and then be like, all right, we're going to bring these 5 forward. So if it's so that we bring every single one forward with their name in the title, to me, that's more clear to the public than us getting a bunch of applications and deciding which ones we're going to bring forward. So I actually like the way it is written. With Tab's point, if we do need to add something where it is stated that it is managed by them, I'm all on board with that. I like the plan that this company does. And I think it's something we move forward with. And clarification, how much funds do we have left for this? Do we have the exact number? We had like 3 different numbers.
It's in the AIS. 8,191,000 in that account.
And people are more than welcome to apply for, yes. Just want to clarify for the public.
So when we talked about this before, this was some, I won't say unused, but available ARPA funds, and it was somewhere between 4 million and 5 million. We have a meeting this Wednesday to go through
The exact amount.
the balance of the ARPA funds. But
So
as far as the
safe to say after this,
$600,000.
We still have over $3.5 million left in that account.
Likely.
So with that said, I'm more than willing for other people to come forward with ideas. You know, we've been working on things here at the county to purchase land, to start getting things going. We brought groups in that came and talked to us, gave us presentations. We just sat in one last month for an hour and a half. And until we do something, it accomplishes nothing. It's just a meeting.
Mr. Chairman, just
So
one
I
more
support
point.
Wait a
you,
second.
Mr. McKellen, your original
Hold on.
statement.
Mr. Glover, you're next.
Oh, thank you. Chairman, I am supporting the recommendation coming from Madam Chair Howard at this time. I am for doing something, so there's no question about that. I also think that whatever we do with county funds, it needs to be out in the public, transparency, it's fair to all. A recommendation from the administration coming forward with guidelines on who these funds are going to, and so that we can have an idea who the organization that's receiving it, and it's fair. It was raised to my attention today, and I don't know the answer to this question, so I'm gonna put it on the table, that the Coastal Community Development Corporation has a exclusive list of people that they would help with this. That person must be working for certain companies, et cetera, et cetera. It doesn't open up to anybody who's needing a home or workforce, place to stay in that community and stuff. So if that's the case, I think I don't want to be a party of excluding anybody, but allowing everybody an opportunity to apply and to get a house because they want a home at this time.
Ms. Brown?
I'm just concerned how the CCDC, how are we ensured that they're going to spend the money properly. And what insurance do we have that, okay, they have $600,000, they gave it out to 6 people, $100,000, they bought a condo or something, or they rented a place for 2 years or something, whatever.
Okay.
What insurance do we have?
Okay. Mr. Bartholomew?
Addressing the immediate motion on the table, Ms. Howard's motion, I'm not in favor of changing the language at this point in time as far as removing that language, but my biggest concern with this, I think we need to put up or shut up. I really want to be part of a council that takes action and does something. However, in reading this, I've kept scrolling by it and I kept waiting for more terms to be explained. I had a conversation with Larry earlier today, and it made me feel a lot better after hearing how it's going to be spent, but none of what he talked about was actually in writing.
Oh.
And so my concern right now is I feel like we're trying to rush this through without actually having the proper terms and the terms and everything in place that we need to do.
Mr. McKellen?
With regard to Mr. Glover's comment, I appreciate what you said, and I know that that's present. But this is appropriation to get the money over to the Beaufort Housing Trust Fund. And what they're going to do is develop for us a written memorandum of agreement indicating very clearly what they would expect to have happen. And there would be no restriction on the people who could apply for this type of assistance for workforce housing. And it certainly would not be limited to employees of that organization, because if it did, we would not engage in this type of activity with them, and they would have to be very clear in their understanding that it has to be open to everyone who applies.
Mr. Reeds?
There was just 2 points of clarification. I think Larry just addressed one. The Housing Trust Fund, Beaufort will be managing the overall function of this. And the other point of clarification that I think should be in, and I support David as well, having this in writing, is no taxpayer funds are going to be used for this. It's going to come from ARPA funds. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
It's still technical.
Okay.
I'd like to amend my motion. And I'm not sure how to state this, but to Tab's point, somewhere in this resolution, we need to say that the money will go to the Beaufort Jasper Housing Trust Fund. It doesn't say that. I think all this evolved pretty quickly to work with them on it, and perhaps it wasn't known when this package was put together last week. So I'm looking to the attorneys on how to add that to the language. And I'll rescind my previous motion to take out the language for the CCDC. But how do we fix this?
Yeah.
So that they're
You could amend your motion, I suppose,
Okay.
to remove reference to the CCDC and say instead, housing projects
Oversight?
for the purpose of funding workforce housing projects through the Beaufort Jasper Trust.
Yes, that would.
So you'd put it into the Beaufort Jasper
Okay, so
Trust Fund.
I removed the previous part of my amendment.
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, we're contributing to them already, as other municipalities are. This was going to be a set aside for
Well, that's fine.
workforce housing with
Okay.
the Community
All right.
Development Corporation, and they know that.
Okay.
But
We can word
we
it
should
that
probably get that in writing as well. If it's going to go over there, for whose use?
Well, let's say it that way. It will be
Okay,
set aside
right.
specifically.
Perhaps the better thing.
Hold on a second.
Just one more.
No, hold on.
Go ahead.
If you listened carefully to what Mr. Stewart said, you have to have a governing authority. What's lacking in this resolution is our setting up that government authority or governing authority, which is the Housing Trust Fund that will set the expectations and specifications of what this council is looking for. So that's how I see we have to alter this resolution.
So the point is, to Dave's point as well, this council is going to be incredible with a lot of changes and doing things and going forward. We're going to be aggressive on that, without a doubt. But why rush this through with a vote tonight without having it in writing and having things changed the way they should be. So that we owe this to the people we represent. And we really appreciate the efforts from Mr. Campbell and the group and Alan Wolf. But don't we owe it to the people that we represent to have this in writing? Let's a handshake or a wink. I mean, are we going to go down that same path of having somebody come here and say, hey, forensic accounting, why can't we do what's right for the people?
Any other question? You want to have the motion in writing, is that it?
No, I'm saying what the guidelines are, not the motion, but what.
Well, the resolution
You know,
specifies
I
certain
mean, we're
things.
going to vote on something here that, you know, we represent the people. They got to know what we're doing.
Well, can we add another whereas that this will be administered by the Beaufort Jasper Housing
Okay,
Trust
Joe.
Fund?
That would work.
Mr. Chairman, before we go any farther, if we're gonna go through this, I'm willing to support what you just stated at the end. But if it's being attached to your other amendment, I'm not. So I would, if we're gonna remove the First Amendment,
She already did.
and then the second has
Well,
not
we have to
recited
have the
theirs.
second.
So we need to have that still, but then yes, I'm with you.
That's what
I just wanted to clean it up so we don't have a mess
Sure.
up by the end of this
Sure.
vote.
This
go
is a
ahead.
working document, and this is a working amendments on the floor. I have no problem sending my second, if we can clean this up.
Yeah,
and
I
move it
was going to
forward.
ask Mr. Kevaney to give us a language here on what it is that we're actually going to be voting on.
Well, I'm not.
What the change will eventually be.
Yeah, I'm not
but it
entirely
will-
sure. What we brought forward was the recommendation of the committee. And to allocate this money to the 501c3, which is the Coastal Community Development Corporation. It sounds like now what council is interested in doing is sending this money to the Beaufort Jasper Trust to have them use these funds for workforce housing.
No.
No, they're going to manage, administer
For the
on
CCDC?
behalf
Yes.
of Beaufort
okay.
County.
Okay.
That $600,000 that is going to be used by the Coastal Community Development Corporation in unincorporated Beaufort County. They will set up the MOA, MOU, however you want to call it, with CCDC as to the expectations, performances, rules, regulations, however you want to state that, so that we, the county, are getting what we want in workforce housing.
Sure.
In unincorporated Beaufort County.
So we can do it. Do you have, is this workable for you?
Yes, sir, we're perfectly happy bringing those documents, bring them back to you today.
Thank you.
Certainly don't hold anything up.
Okay.
So we can add a whereas?
We have two motions to amend that are on the table, by the way. We
All
have,
right, so we've got the amendment to take CCDC out
yes.
has been removed
Okay.
by the first and second. So we don't have another amendment. Now we're asking a member of council to move in second to amend this motion to put in a whereas
That's fine.
to allow the Beaufort Jasper Housing Trust to be the administrator of this program with CCDC.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Okay?
I'll second.
All right.
All right, moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Just quickly, Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
is it implied that, that it will be fair and open to everybody?
Oh, yeah, it's going to be part of the MOA. That's going to be in the MOA, there's no doubt
Just
about
want
it.
to make sure.
Yes.
We'll get to see
Thank
that.
You
Yes.
recall that the committee moved that an MOA would be drafted by administration that would set terms that,
Right.
that would be applicable, including things like 99 years and that kind of
And that'll be
stuff. So
done in
that's all
cooperation
in,
with the Housing Trust Fund.
that's all in the
Right, and the
minutes
Housing
of
Trust
the
Fund will
meeting of
have
the
all of
committee.
that documentation. We will see all of that documentation in the future. Okay, is everybody okay with what has been stated and how has been stated? Do I need to call the roll?
Just one last thought. Since I'm new to this MOA that Tom was talking about, we'll have a chance to go through that together before that becomes a final document, or is that gonna be
No, sir.
just given
No,
to
no,
us?
City administration.
You can get a copy, but we're not going to bring it back to council
Right,
for approval.
You're not gonna bring it back to council for approval?
right.
No, 'cause-
We have dictated to them exactly what we want, and that's what they're going to do.
Well,
have to approve the MOA. I agree with you.
thank you. Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you, this is new to me. I'm a new guy here with this program.
not here.
And I'm gonna tell you, one of the key things that I was elected for
And
was
it's
to
gonna be
be
another month.
accountable, excuse me, Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead.
Was to be accountable to the people. And I'm telling you, I support the passion of Alan Wolf and Kim Campbell and everybody. But when we're sitting here saying, we believe you, we're gonna take you, and you're not gonna come back to council with what you guys approved, what are we doing to the people that we represent? That they just trust us? No, me, they even trust me. I mean, listen, I'm here to represent people. I'm not here to ask them to go on blind faith. If this is gonna be something that we're gonna do, why don't we do it the right way?
Mr.
I mean, I support all of this. I support every idea there is for affordable housing. But why approve something when we don't know what we're approving? Listen, you wanna rush it, by all means do it. Take the vote. Do what you gotta do.
So
Thank you.
I was gonna say, the point is, we're going to ask the Housing Trust Fund to oversee the entire thing. And we have trust, we believe in them because we participate with it and we've heard from them. So if you trust the Housing Trust Fund, they're gonna draft the MOA and we're gonna have what we wanna get. Otherwise, we don't trust them,
We review.
right?
Well, I'd like to thank the congratulatory proclamation for all those high-quality employees at the beginning of the meeting. Will extend to the representative of the county that will be negotiating a memorandum of agreement with us.
Yes, they're all gonna be doing it.
They're high-quality people, perfectly capable of reflecting your wishes in those.
Correct.
Do I have to say the name Eric Greenway here to anybody? Does everybody remember that just a couple of months ago? He's an employee, he was an employee, wasn't he? We could do this all night.
I just have a clarification just for procedural wise. Why is this a resolution and not an ordinance? Is there?
Thank you.
Oh, because council by ordinance already appropriated the $37 million to the various categories. And once it's been appropriated,
It's just a resolution.
reallocated through resolution.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Will the clerk to council call the roll? Everybody understands what we're voting on?
You wanna say it again so everybody gets it?
We're adding the whereas, that the Housing Trust Fund will be the administrator of this program. They will develop the MOA with CCDC as per the requirements of county council. And how the money is going to be utilized in unincorporated Beaufort County.
Chairman, can I ask a question?
Yep.
What happens if they can't agree on an MOA?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
That's fine.
No, hold on, hear me out. What happens if we're trusting them, which we've been a part of this organization? We're not in the business of managing houses. We're not in the business of building houses. So I have no problem putting funds into an organization that does that if we believe they're doing it the proper way. But what happens to that 600,000 if you and the other group cannot come to terms that you guys are fine? Does the money come back or does it sit there? That's really the only, those are the two options.
Well, I would think it
The
comes
money's
back.
not there until the MOA.
It's not going to be there until
Thank
an
you.
MOA
So
is
there is no
agreed.
agreed upon MOA with the
Right.
standards we've set. The money does not go there anyways.
Right.
I am comfortable with it, Mr. Chairman.
Okay,
Do-
all right.
Go ahead and speak.
I was gonna say, the funding stays where it is until the MOA is agreed.
There you go.
No one gets any money until.
That was just my only question.
Good question.
Okay.
But one point of clarification. We don't get to approve that MOA.
No, we're trusting them to do it when they're in the business of managing properties and building houses. I'm not. Other than a hammer and a nail and maybe a square, that's about all I got for you.
It's because you're just a teacher.
Just a teacher, just a teacher.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the trust was established by the various entities, Beaufort County, the city of Beaufort, town of Bluffton, the town of Hilton Head, everybody appointed members to the trust. And Mr. Stewart, I think, is the city of Beaufort's appointee. So these are folks who've been vetted by the various governmental entities for this purpose.
Correct.
Mhm.
This is their exact job, to do this.
Right. Okay. Would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Cunningham,
Yes.
Councilmember Howard,
Yes.
Councilmember Reeds,
I'm telling you.
This is the amendment.
Yeah, this is the
I'm going to
amendment.
say yes, but I'm reluctant to do that.
Councilmember Lawson,
Mark Lawson, yes.
Councilmember Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Tabernick,
Yes.
Councilmember Glover,
Yes.
Councilmember Bartholomew,
Yes.
Councilmember Dawson,
Yes.
Vice Chair McEllen,
Yes.
Chairman Passman.
Yes.
The motion passes 11-0.
Okay, so now that's the amendment. Now we have to do item 23 as amended. Please call the roll.
Councilmember
McCollum.
McEllen,
Yes.
Councilmember Howard,
Yes.
Councilmember Reeds,
Yes.
Councilmember Lawson,
Yes.
Councilmember Brown,
Yes.
Councilmember Cunningham,
Yes.
Councilmember Tabernick,
Yes.
Councilmember Glover,
Yes.
Councilmember Bartholomew,
I'm gonna have a vote no.
Councilmember Dawson,
Yes.
Chairman Passman.
Yes.
The motion passes.
Okay, I would ask a member of council to move in second to extend
So
us
moved, Mr.
past the
Chairman.
8 o'clock.
I'll second.
All right, duly moved and seconded. Any objection? Seeing no objection, unfortunately, we will go past 8 o'clock.
Bartholomew, second.
All right, item number 24 is approval of a resolution adopting the Beaufort County Employee Handbook.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Cunningham,
Second that.
Ms. Brown, duly motioned and seconded. Any questions?
I'd just
This
like
will
to
be approved without objection, and there are no objections.
Comment, can I make one quick comment?
Yep.
I applaud the additional things that we had asked for, such as better protection for whistleblowers and other things in there. I won't go into details, but thank you.
Item 25, approval of a resolution for commissioned Public Works Code Enforcement Officers.
I'll make the motion.
Ms. Tabernack and Mr. McKellen, duly motioned and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, this will be approved without objection. Item 26, approval of a resolution for an intergovernmental agreement with the Beaufort Jasper Water Sewer Authority and the town of Bluffton to jointly fund the installation of sewer facilities in the Stony Creek area for the purpose of preventing further contamination of the May River headwaters.
I'll make that motion.
I'll
Mr.
second.
Lawson made the motion, and Ms. Howard made the second. Duly motioned and seconded. Any discussion?
Can I just
Yes.
make a comment, please? I read through this, and every time I read something, I learn something new, like decommissioned septic tanks and some other fun stuff in there. But what I really appreciated was the timeline details on page 213 of the project, and it says it will be done by May 2026. I like when we know when the end of the project's going to be, so it doesn't go ad infinitum, so I appreciate that.
Okay, any further comments? This will be approved without objection. Are there any objections? Seeing none, that is approved. Item 27 is approval of a resolution repealing and replacing the county's rules and procedures.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Cunningham made the motion.
Second.
Mr. Bartholomew made the second. Duly motioned and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, this will be approved without objection, and there are no objections. Item number 28 is the approval of the 2024 committee and council meeting schedule. And you received two schedules. The updated schedule is the one we're voting on. Mr. McKellen made the motion.
Second that.
Ms. Brown made the second. Duly motioned and seconded. Any discussion?
Just looking forward to hanging out with y'all again.
Yes. As are we. This will be approved without objection, and I see no objections. Item number 29, approval of an RFQ to solicit resumes and qualifications from executive search firms to assist in the recruitment and selection of a county administrator.
I'll
Mr.
second.
McKellen made the motion, Mr. Cunningham made the second. Duly motioned and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, this will be approved without objection, and there are no objections. Now, we have two executive session items that we'll need to get to. We only have a couple of people who want to speak. At the second one, is Tade here? Please come forward.
I signed up first.
I know you did. Please sit down.
No, you're not going to
Sit
go out of order.
down.
No, I'm not
You will
sitting down.
have
You're
your-
going to respect me. I signed up first, and I'm going to speak. You're not going to do it. I'm not going to allow you to abuse me anymore. I'm not going to do it. Now, let me read my 3 minutes. First of all, the workforce housing using tax funds is illegal. It should be private enterprise, and you're going to be sued, period. Mr. Passmont, Judge Vox ruled POA as legal based on your illegal votes to approve and issue tax funds. You also disrespect professional citizens who take their time to come here and help this council make the right decisions. Your uncontrolled temper tantrums, your attempts to intimidate citizens as well as fellow council members, you are not fit to serve as chairman. Mr. Passmont, you and Larry McAllen were targeted to become secret members of the GIC, the Greater Island Council, that has now been exposed as a secret underground government made up of many Beaufort County officials to influence our above-ground duly elected officials' votes. You both knowingly kept secret and knew this was a conflict. You both also refused to give us the name of the person who called you to be a head of this secret organization. Who asked you to do that? Further reported, you both, with other local officials, were invited to attend the Chamber Ball party as a free or illegal tax-paid chamber member, which was a quid pro quo. You both certainly know that using tax money to pay your chamber memberships violated constitutional laws. Larry, you were a judge. I say again, shame on you. Additionally, on my way back home to Hilton Head after attending a council meeting a number of weeks back, I just crossed over the Broad River Bridge. I was driving about 60 miles an hour and noticed Passmont in his Corvette at a high rate of speed fly by me at 85 to 90 miles an hour. Mr. Passmont is not only an out-of-control elected official, he is an out-of-control on highways, acting like a misfit teenager behind the wheel of his Corvette. He needs to go to the racetrack before he kills somebody and kills himself. I guess he just feels since he's chairman of the county council, his powers will protect him on and off the highway. Also, this 15-minute time limit for citizens allowing only 5 citizens to speak must end. I've been to this council for many years, and this needs to end. This just shows more respected citizens to shut down the public comments by Passmont, who pays his salary. Unfortunately, many sit on this dais like Passmont that get a sense of knowledge over those professionals from the podium. Mr. Passmont, you were elected to approve, spend, and guard our tax money like your own. You have violated your campaign promises and your fiduciary responsibilities. Because Passmont, as well as Larry's bad actions and the secret GIC, the chamber involvement, I ask you both to be as removed as chairman and co-chairman immediately and voted out of office. Honest public service is appreciated, but Tom, you are spot on, and David, you're spot on. This is going to be a lawsuit in this book. This is outrageous. It's illegal to use public monies for private purposes, not for the public good, reason, and benefit. You all voted to break the law again.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Tade Oyelumi, and I'm with Community Coalition Action Network of St. Helena, or CCAN, and we are a new nonprofit organization that just had our grand opening on St. Helena, November 30th. And so we're actually here to invite you all out for a private VIP tour and discussion to see how we want to work with you all tightly to support St. Helena. So I won't keep you very long. I have some information if I could approach the bench and give it to you, Mr.
Yes.
And then you could pass it out?
Thank you
These are
for-
all of our events for the month of December, and
Oh,
we have
great.
a lot coming up for the whole
Thanks
next
for
year.
waiting
What's the
so
name of the
long.
organization?
Very nice.
Thank you.
Community Coalitions Action Network of St. Helena.
CCAN.
And we have a Community Collaboration Center that just opened up across from Exxon.
Cool.
So we'll be following up with emails, and we look forward to seeing you all soon.
Yeah, one more.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, one more over here.
Make sure Mr. Glover gets one.
Please. I appreciate that.
Look forward to seeing you.
It's
Thank
nice
you.
to meeting you.
Thank you. Mr. New.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you very much. I know it's been a long night and a long year, and we want to thank you. You have a very, very difficult job, absolutely. So the previous speaker represents an organization we can't find a record of. They're not a nonprofit, they don't exist. Everybody on St. Helena knows who's funding it all, the ads, her compensation, the lease for the building, on and on and on. The whole Pine Island thing's starting to feel like fourth grade. We want to thank you for supporting the CPO and strengthening the CPO this year. It's a vote that many, many years from now, you will recognize was critically important to the continuity of the Gullah Geechee community. And we want to thank you for your diligence in supporting it and protecting it and do something that was really, really, truly significant. Finally, the search committee. You have a search committee for the county administrator. Add some people from the county on there. I think it'd be a great thing if you add some citizens to it. And finally, Merry Christmas, and I hope you all have a Happy New Year.
Thank you, Robert.
Okay, I would like a motion and second for our executive session. We have two items pursuant to South Carolina Code 30-470A2. We're going to receive legal advice where the advice relates to pending litigation, the county versus the Broad Creek development. And the second one is matters covered by the attorney-client privilege, inquiries and investigations pursuant to South Carolina Section 4-9-660.
I'll make the
Motion, please.
Second.
Ms. Tabernick made the motion, Mr. Cunningham made the second, duly motioned and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we will be in executive session without objection. There may or may not be matters arising out of executive session. We have returned from our executive session. There are no matters arising out of executive session, and this short meeting is now adjourned.
Chairman, I just want to say Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to all.
Thank you.